Um, so if you had to put the entire human race on, like a hypothetical lifeboat, and you were only allowed to save 3 specific professions to ensure the survival of civilization, who makes the cut?
That is a pretty brutal thought experiment right out of the gate.
It is, yeah. But think about it. Forget who is the most popular, you know, or who has the most money. If you are trimming human society down to its absolute bare bones, who actually matters?
Right, and a highly controversial essay just dropped a list that answers that exact question.
Yeah, and it leaves out almost everyone we are conditioned to respect.
Yeah.
So no politicians, no generals, no judges, no professors.
It's a brutal, completely uncompromising triage of human worth. The essay we're looking at today was written by an author named Schweffing.
On August 15th, 2025, right?
Exactly. And he gave it a title that leaves absolutely zero room for misinterpretation. It's called A World Where Workers Go Hungry is an Evil World.
Wow. Very direct.
Yeah, I mean, it's a text that fundamentally reevaluates the entire architecture of society by defining exactly who creates value.
And I guess who merely leeches off of it, according to his framework.
Right, precisely.
So we are unpacking this today on the deep dive because it completely upends our everyday economic assumptions.
It really does.
And look, I just want to say we are going to be talking about some explosive ideas here, like dismantling governments, abolishing legal systems.
Stripping the prestige away from academia?
Yeah, all of that. So let's be crystal clear right up front. We are entirely impartial on this deep dive.
100%.
We are not endorsing Zhufeng's worldview or taking political sides at all. The thrill of exploring a radical philosophy like this is that it just forces us to test the boundaries of our own beliefs.
Yeah, we are just stepping inside his framework to see the mechanics of his argument, to see what it reveals about the way the modern world operates.
It serves as this fascinating stress test for our modern values.
Right, because Schweffing doesn't start his argument with, like, abstract macroeconomic theory or GDP charts.
He starts on the pavement.
Exactly. He writes that the most beautiful image in this world is the figure of the worker.
And he's incredibly specific about that imagery, too. He isn't talking about the guy sending emails in a corner office.
No, not at all.
He is talking about street cleaners sweeping the roads before the sun comes up, farmers laboring under the scorching heat.
Migrant workers tying steel bars.
Yeah, pouring concrete on construction sites. He lists assembly line workers, waiters, weaving through crowded restaurants.
Your cashiers, food couriers, dodging traffic.
And chefs, sweating in commercial kitchens.
Right. The common denominator in that really vivid catalog of jobs is the physical toll.
The actual sweat.
Yes, Schweffing's foundational premise is that anyone who relies on pure physical labor to earn a living, to feed their family, is the absolute bedrock of what he terms the great edifice of human civilization.
So they aren't just at the bottom of the pile.
No, in his framework, these individuals are not at the bottom of the societal pyramid at all. They are the actual ground that the pyramid sits on.
I want to push on that premise right away, though, because why is physical sweat the absolute non-negotiable baseline for civilization?
What do you mean?
I mean, we live in a highly digitized, abstracted world now. To a lot of people listening, might feel almost archaic to claim that only physical laborers form the foundation. Like, what is the actual mechanism behind his logic here?
It comes down to the undeniable thermodynamic reality of human survival.
Okay, thermodynamic reality. Walk me through that.
So before we can debate philosophy or before we can, trade crypto on an app or draft legislation, human biology demands calories. It demands shelter and infrastructure.
Right. We have to eat and not freeze.
Exactly. And physical labor is the only mechanism that directly converts the raw earth into human survival.
I see.
A farmer is literally converting solar energy and soil into the calories that keep the rest of us alive. A construction worker is physically altering the environment so we don't die of exposure.
Because we're so used to just tapping our phones and food magically arrives at our door.
Right. But without that direct kinetic translation of energy happening behind the scenes, every other layer of society just starves.
No matter how sophisticated that society is,
Exactly.
it really makes me think of an internal combustion engine in a car.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Right. Because when you're cruising down the highway, enjoying the air conditioning and listening to a deep dive or whatever, you aren't thinking about the pistons violently firing.
No, you're just enjoying the ride.
Exactly. You don't think about the oil burning deep inside the machinery. You only notice the engine when it suddenly dies on you.
Right, and without those pistons firing, the car is just a very heavy, completely useless metal box sitting on the asphalt.
Yeah. The physical laborer is the engine. They're the only thing generating that forward momentum.
And Shuifeng takes that mechanical reality a step further to define morality.
How so?
He argues that a civilized society is defined entirely by whether those specific people, the engine of the civilization, live with dignity.
Okay, so it's a test of the society's values.
Right. If the people performing the fundamental energy conversion for society have secure livelihoods and their basic needs are protected, then the society is civilized.
But if the engine is neglected,
If those workers go hungry while the people in the passenger seats live in luxury, the foundation is cracked. It fundamentally violates the basic laws of survival.
which naturally leads us to the passenger seats, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Because if physical laborers are the foundation, how does Feng view the people who don't do physical labor but hold the vast majority of the wealth?
Well, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah, because this is where I hit a wall with his logic. He states explicitly that measuring a person's worth solely by their material wealth is a violation of civilization.
He does. He calls it an evil metric, actually.
Right, an evil metric. He is vehemently against using bank accounts as a scorecard for human dignity.
Absolutely.
But then he makes this massive carve-out for visionary thinkers and entrepreneurs. Like he says, it is entirely reasonable that entrepreneurs and risk-takers enjoy greater material prosperity.
He does say that.
Hold on, though. Is that not a massive contradiction?
Yeah.
I mean, how can he claim that judging human value by material wealth is fundamentally evil, but in the exact same breath, say it's perfectly fine for entrepreneurs to hoard immense riches?
It looks like a glaring contradiction. Until you really unpack his strict definition of value creation.
Okay, unpack it for me.
Shuifeng separates the creation of practical value from the sort of rent-seeking accumulation of wealth.
Okay, so there's a difference between making things and just hoarding money.
Right. He acknowledges that human progress requires more than just raw physical labor. It requires innovation.
Right, of course.
So when an entrepreneur takes a massive risk to transform a raw invention into a tangible product that benefits society, they are creating immeasurable economic value.
Let me stop you there, though.
Yeah,
Because who decides what practical value actually is?
that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Seriously. Like, if a tech billionaire invents a social media platform that is scientifically optimized to keep people doom scrolling.
Oh, right, just to serve more ads.
Yeah, that entrepreneur took a risk. They innovated, they generated billions of dollars. So under Sufeng's logic, is that billionaire an entirely reasonable architect of civilization?
If we rigorously apply Shuifeng's criteria, that specific tech billionaire likely fails the test entirely.
Wait, really, why?
Because Shufen is intensely focused on the tangible, physical improvement of human life, not just digital engagement.
Oh, I see.
Let's use a different example. Imagine an entrepreneur who risks their capital to develop and mass produce a revolutionary new tractor.
Okay, a tractor.
Right. That tractor allows the farmer to harvest 10 times the crops with half the physical toll.
So it directly helps the physical laborer.
Exactly. The entrepreneur has exponentially increased the calorie output of society. They have improved the physical baseline of human existence.
I get it.
So Shuifeng argues that because they generated massive practical value that trickles down to the physical world, it is totally reasonable they enjoy the material rewards of that creation.
So the wealth itself isn't the problem then. It's the metric.
Right. The evil occurs in the societal judgment.
Interesting.
It is not evil for the tractor inventor to be wealthy because they tangibly improved people's lives. The evil happens when a society uses that wealth as the only metric for human dignity.
Ah, so if society looks at the wealthy entrepreneur and says, this person matters.
But looks at the farmer driving the tractor and says, this person is expendable, let them go hungry.
That is the evil Sufeng is attacking.
Precisely. He is targeting a system that worships the material wealth while completely discarding the foundational physical labor that made the enjoyment of that wealth possible in the first place.
Okay, that definitely clarifies the distinction between the worker and the innovator. They both create value, like one through execution and one through implementation.
Yes, exactly.
But this brings us to the most controversial, uncompromising part of his entire essay.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Because if workers and applied innovators create value, who doesn't?
Shuifeng provides a very blunt, totally unapologetic list of non-contributors.
He really doesn't hold back.
No, he states as a universal rule that status, power, reputation, and money do not create value.
And he targets the very pillars of modern society. Like, he states that governments, government officials, and civil servants do not create value.
None at all.
He goes after the entire legal and defense apparatus. He was judges, lawyers, police officers, and armies do not create value.
It's sweeping.
And he even throws academia onto the fire. Degrees, diplomas, titles, experts, and professors create zero value.
We really need to look at the mechanism behind this dismissal.
Yeah, why does he view these highly educated, highly powerful classes as completely devoid of value?
His reasoning relies on a really radical form of utilitarianism. He argues that pure knowledge or pure administrative power is fundamentally inert.
Inert, like it just sits there.
Exactly. Knowledge by itself creates absolutely no value unless it is physically transformed into practical benefit and wealth.
Okay, let's map this out using a sports analogy to try and make sense of it.
Sure, let's hear it.
So let's look at society like a massive game of football. In this scenario, the workers, the physical laborers and the inventors are the players actually on the field.
Right, they're the ones in the game.
Yeah, they are running the ball, they are taking the physical hits, they are scoring the points, they are generating the kinetic energy of the game.
Okay, I follow.
The politicians, the lawyers, and the academics. They are just the referees and the color commentators up in the broadcast booth.
Oh, that's a brilliant way to put it. The referees manage the rules of the game. They blow the whistle when there's an infraction.
Exactly.
And the commentators analyze the game brilliantly, bringing this deep academic understanding to the strategy.
But here's the critical distinction. Neither the referee nor the commentator can actually score a touchdown.
Right?
They don't play the game.
Right.
They just manage the friction of the game.
And Shuafeng is essentially saying that modern society is broken because we have built a system where the referees are paid millions of dollars.
Given massive trophies.
Yes, and treated like absolute gods, while the players on the field taking the physical hits are starving and breaking their bodies with zero respect.
It is a profound critique of how we assign prestige. But let's look at the implications of, actually abolishing the referees.
It gets messy.
Yeah. How does a society function without a legal system to settle disputes or a government to organize resources? If there are no laws, someone simply steals the tractor the entrepreneur invented.
I mean, that is the obvious counter-argument.
That is exactly what I was wondering. How does his engine run without any rules?
Well, Shuafeng would argue that an expansive legal and governmental apparatus is actually a symptom of a diseased society, not a feature of a healthy one.
Wait, really?
Oh,
A
yeah.
symptom?
Yeah. He posits that if you have a fundamentally just distribution of resources, where the workers are respected and their basic needs are met, the societal friction that necessitates massive police forces and armies drastically diminishes.
Oh, so he thinks most crime and conflict comes from inequality.
Exactly. In his eyes, a massive percentage of what lawyers and politicians do is simply manage the artificial complexities and inequalities created by a broken system.
Wow.
He views them as parasitic overhead.
Parasitic overhead. He actually uses that exact framing to condemn our current structures. Like, he says that a society that values the official rank, the money, and the referees, while completely ignoring the dignity of the workers, isn't just flawed or inefficient.
No, he uses much stronger language.
He calls it an evil society with an evil government and an evil value system.
There is zero gray area in his philosophy. You are either actively turning the gears of human survival, or you are a dependent living off the sweat of the people who do.
Which perfectly sets up his ultimate thought experiment.
Right, the one we mentioned earlier.
Because just when you think he can't go any harder on modern institutions, Shuafeng pushes his theory to its absolute logical extreme.
He really is.
He poses a hypothetical survival scenario to force the reader to confront their own ingrained values. This is the lifeboat dilemma we talk about at the top of the deep dive.
He asks a really simple question. Suppose society faced a crisis and had to choose whom to keep and whom to eliminate.
If you had to trim the fat of civilization down to its essential core, who stays?
Right.
I want to pose this directly to you listening right now. Put yourself in charge of this lifeboat.
It's a tough spot to be in.
It is. You have to ensure the human race survives and continues to progress. Who do you keep and who do you toss overboard?
Shuafeng's answer is characteristically ruthless.
What does he say?
He says, keep the workers, keep the scientists, keep the entrepreneurs. Everyone else could be absent.
Everyone else. Let the sheer terror of that vision sink in for a second.
It's definitely jarring.
He is advocating for a hypothetical world with no legal system to protect human rights. No defense force to protect physical borders. No pure academia studying history or literature just for the sake of human understanding.
It feels terrifying because it strips away all our safety nets. We're so used to them.
We are.
But if we analyze what this specific triumvirate actually represents in his philosophy, it operates with a very cold mathematical efficiency.
Break that down for me.
He is reducing the entirety of human civilization down to three essential interlocking functions. First, you have execution. That is the workers.
Okay.
They are the physical force that builds, maintains, and harvests the world.
The foundation.
Yeah.
The engine converting the energy, like we said earlier.
Second, you have discovery. That is the scientists. They are the ones pushing the boundaries of what is possible, uncovering the raw laws of nature, physics, and biology.
Right. They provide the raw knowledge.
And third, you have implementation. That is the entrepreneur.
They act as the vital bridge, right?
Yes. They take the theoretical discovery of the scientists, organize the execution of the workers, and synthesize them to create a tangible product that improves human life.
So it's execution, discovery, implementation.
To Schiffing, these three pillars form a closed-loop system for human survival. If you have those three functions operating, humanity lives, feeds itself, and progresses forward.
And if you don't?
If you lose even one of those three, humanity collapses. Therefore, everyone else, the politicians drafting policies, the lawyers arguing contracts, the generals planning wars.
Yeah, are all just a luxury.
Exactly. And in his view, an evil society is one that sacrifices its essential pillars to feed its luxuries.
Man, it really forces a total recalculation of our default metrics for success.
It does.
Like, we are so heavily conditioned by our culture to associate a high-priced corporate lawyer or a powerful senator with the absolute pinnacle of societal achievement.
Oh, absolutely. That's the dream for a lot of people.
But Sweffing mathematically proves, at least within his own framework, that the person pouring the concrete for that lawyer's office building or picking the vegetables for that senator's dinner is infinitely more valuable to the continuation of the human species.
It demands that we start looking at the glittering skyline and start respecting the dirt. The dignity and security of the physical laborer just must be the non-negotiable baseline for anything claiming to be a civilization.
We have really traced this argument from the almost poetic imagery of the street cleaner and the food courier, all the way to a radical redefinition of value.
One that literally strips away governments and militaries in favor of pure practical contribution.
Yeah. And regardless of whether you accept his extreme conclusions about abolishing the legal system, the questions he raises about how we compensate and respect fundamental labor are absolutely essential to examine.
They really are. We have to look at these things.
And as we wrap up, I just want to reiterate that our goal today was to explore the architecture of Schelfing's unique perspective.
Right.
We aren't asking you to adopt his worldview, and we certainly aren't telling you to go out and dismantle your local government.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't. We just wanted to help you navigate his arguments to see where our own societal foundations might have cracks.
It's about using an extreme lens to bring our everyday reality into sharper focus.
Exactly. But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over on your own.
Ooh, what is it?
It's a massive blind spot that wasn't explicitly addressed in the text, but has been lingering in the back of my mind ever since we read it.
Okay.
If Dwiffing's survival scenario actually came true, like if the lifeboat launched and we only kept the workers, the scientists, and the entrepreneurs, what happens to art?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is the ultimate question for a purely utilitarian worldview.
Because without the writers, without the musicians, the painters, the historians, or the philosophers, who would be left to document this incredibly efficient new civilization?
That's a great point.
And more importantly, without art and culture to give our existence meaning, who would be left to remind the workers, the scientists, and the entrepreneurs what they are actually surviving for? Right? If we save the concrete foundation of the skyscraper, but we throw away the beautiful views, the art on the walls, and the actual life happening inside.
Is it still a building worth living in?
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Keep looking closely at the foundations of the world around you, keep asking the hard questions, and we will catch you next time.